On the front page of the Courier this week, gifts that keep on giving. This is an interesting and in-depth look at a major charitable force in Cincinnati. We're talking about family foundations, philanthropic organizations fueled by family business wealth. There's a strong network of them in our region. The Business Courier compiled a searchable database that lists more than $80 million in grants from 58 foundations in 2010. The region's top 20 family foundations held $1.4 billion in assets at the end of 2010. That's up more than $300 million since 2005, and that bucks a trend. Who benefits from the foundation's generosity? Agencies like Artworks, which hires teens to create public art projects around the city. Also, cultural organizations, schools, hospital, children's agencies. It's a very long list. Joining us now to talk about who's behind these foundations and how they are helping, Business Courier editor Rob Dahlmeyer and reporter Lucy May.
Brian, thanks, and Lucy, thanks for being here.
Sure.
It was a fascinating project that you and Dan Monk worked on, and it was just a pleasure, really, to read. I think one of the interesting things about family foundations, at least in this town, is how quiet they are, and how they are not walking around town with megaphones. Who are the biggest ones in town? Because I'm quite sure a lot of people don't even know who they are.
Right. The biggest ones, we ranked them by the grants that they gave, and we looked at fiscal year 2010 specifically because that was consistent information for all the foundations. The biggest one is the Hale Foundation. It's a long name. It's the Carol Ann and Ralph V. Jr. Hale U.S. Bank Foundation. And that foundation has just been a force in recent years. It gave more than $10 million in grants in the fiscal year of 2010 alone, way more than any other foundation. The John and Mary Schiff Foundation is also very big, and the Farmer Family Foundation is the third biggest in terms of grants given that year.
And one of the points of your project really was that through the recession over the last couple of years, donations in general throughout the country have dropped. States, cities, counties have had less money to spend to make sure nonprofits and charitable activities really can keep up the good work that they do. What did you see about Cincinnati, though?
Yeah, well, and that was such a tough time for nonprofits generally because the needs were really going up. They were seeing such increased demand for their services where the money was drying up. But across the country, giving went down during the recession for the first time in many, many years, according to some national research. But here in Cincinnati, we found that charitable giving by family foundations actually increased by quite a bit. And it was really remarkable. We talked to a number of nonprofit leaders who said the family foundations really saw that this was an important moment for the people of Cincinnati, that there were a lot of needs, and the family foundations really stepped in to help fill those needs at a time when the demand was really high for these services.
Yeah, really a compelling story, and it's in this week's paper, and it's also online. We've got quite an extensive database of all the big foundations and specifically what they did, and this is something we're going to keep tracking. So, Lucy, thanks for being here.
Sure, thank you.
Brian, back to you.
All right, Rob and Lucy, thanks.